In Lake Superior, just 2.5 miles across the lake by ferry, is Madeline Island. I recently had the opportunity to go there to work on my book, Good Dirt, and while I was there, I was inspired with a visit shared by several of the ladies who helped to run the Madeline Island Community Garden. What a delight to go beyond the beauty of the island itself, including the beautiful lupin flowers of June, to see how their community comes together to make food, friendship, and a love of the earth possible for many on their island. Take some insights with you for possibly a community garden in your part of the world. So here's the tour.
Get on the fence here, it's easier. Okay. All right, here we go. Whoops, there we are.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Thank
you. Where are we? I'll get it, Sherry. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is the Madeline Island Community Garden in Lake Superior. Yep. Yeah, so this is our garden space leased on private land. So the landowners, we just have a lease with them to use this space. It was originally started with a different family, and then they sold the property to the new owners with the idea of let's continue this community project. So it's Margie. My name's Busy.
And I'm Margie. I'm on the board of directors. Madeline Island Community Garden is a nonprofit, and I'm not sure how long ago it was established.
Just get the garden in the background.
By at least 10 years ago.
Hey, Casey.
At least 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and big improvements since. This is my first year as a garden manager, and there's another garden manager, Ashley, who couldn't be here today, but the hoop house is new.
That was the hoop house back there.
That hoop house.
Originally, yeah.
Yeah.
And that got damaged by snow, heavy snow one winter. So the greenhouse was put up a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this year we're doing tomatoes and peppers in here, those heat lovers. And we were able to utilize the space for seed starts and hoping to extend the season too, with whatever we can get to increase our yield. So one of the main driving focuses of this plot and these plots is providing food for the food shelf on the island through the St. John's Church.
Okay.
So just trying to produce food that families want to eat, families know how to prepare, and enough to feed them all. It's kind of like
what kind of a yield do you end up getting?
Maybe you can speak to this one.
Varies.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
varies. Last year, I don't think it was too much because we just didn't. It was a bad year last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard lots of water.
A lot of water in the spring. We couldn't even get into the garden probably until about now. So.
And how long is your season?
It's not that long, although fall is nicer than spring. Spring comes late because there's a lot of ice on the lake, so it keeps it really cool here in the spring. But in the fall, that water has warmed up and it keeps the air a lot warmer. Wow. Now, the last couple of days, just to show you, in Ashland and just inland on the south shore of Lake Superior, it was over 90 degrees. And out here it was about 70. Wow. So the lake really determines our weather a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a microclimate for sure. Yeah, it can be raining on one part of the island and dry here too. It's yeah.
And is this? So you have volunteers.
So
how
yeah.
does it work?
Well, we have two paid gardeners.
Okay.
So they kind of keep the weeds down, keep the grass mowed, and then this year we just set up these herb gardens. So they're brand new.
Yeah, so we had a nice little build party with the community.
Nice.
Yep, we had 8?
Yeah.
About eight people out here. Made very light work of it. Many hands made light work.
The soil here is hard to work with. It's hard clay. So,
Yeah.
and the herbs just didn't survive in that at all. So we wanted to do a raised bed and give them some better soil to grow in, initially at least. So
Yeah, so we've got a raised bed. This is our food shelf plot. So the rest is all of our renters. So they're just like their own private little plots, whether it's a large, medium, and small, different sizes. But we've got carrots, radishes, beets, onions. The beans are not taking, so I'm gonna figure something out with that. Brussels sprouts and cabbage, cucumbers and kale are out here.
Okay.
And then over in that patch over there, we're calling that the spreader patch. That's where all of the we've got squash
and
melons.
All those things that like to spread.
Yeah, the spreaders. They need a little bit more room. Yeah. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see this particular plot starts getting shade around 2 p.m. But well, maybe it's different now. That was like maybe 2 weeks ago. But yeah, we didn't. The starts that we created that we were growing for this did not take very well. This is one of the original transplant babies. So we are very fortunate to have a greenhouse garden center just next door.
Oh, I just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, Penny. So so we just went over there and adopted some zucchini, acorn squash, and some pumpkins just to round out what we lost from just the joys of gardening.
Yeah, the joys of gardening. And do you all come together like with the different people that have plots and celebrate?
we had to get together first part of June or end of May. Yeah.
Yeah, like a meet and greet kickoff. It was I think it was the first full day of no frost as far as like the calendar goes. So we decided that would be a good day to kick it off. And we have little projects that we plan, and we'll hopefully pull together a good amount of those volunteers to come help. One of them is kind of fence maintenance.
I just noticed your hat. You are a shenanigans coordinator.
I am. Yeah, and so this is Kesha.
Hi, Kesha.
Hey, Bushu.
We got microphones.
I actually saw that, and I made note. I thought it was a really neat introduction, actually, to like. So how does that work as you're collaborating, and are you connecting with all the other growers? It's like, yes, by name, good morning, and a little bit of accountability, and like, hey, I'm checking in. How are you doing? Like, did you make it for a swim?
No,
I didn't. Been out here since 7:30, so
Wow.
a little sweet.
Time flies in the garden, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful place to be. So I could share just a brief little bit about the community interaction
Please
that
do.
Great
Please
Lakes
do.
Lifeways is doing,
Yeah.
and then hand it back to you all.
Just keep your thumb off of that. There you go.
Great. I'll put it right in my little pocket. Cool. So Busy invited me in, and it worked out with timing. So I just completed a big task. Would you all like to walk with me for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Love it.
So my name is Kesha Belo. I'm the managing director of a nonprofit called Great Lakes Lifeways Institute. And this is year 2 of a really exciting project. We're bringing Giweki, our ancestral flint corn, here to Madeline Island. The end of the Anishinaabe migration. Hey, Mama.
Hi, kiddo.
That was a perfect interlude. Hi, kiddo. From one mom to another mom. I really like that. So what you'll notice here is these are raised rows. In year 2 of Giweki, we learned a lot. First of all, my collaborator and partner, Kevin Finney, and I, neither of us have ever grown corn in clay. So we learned with not only dry farming from last season, but as well as amendments to soil. We kind of went like slow and intentional last year. Less was more. So our grandmother corn, she's strong, she's mighty. Let's see what she could do. So we worked with Grin seeds, and we're actually testing out primarily only white flint corn in year 2. And in every other raised row, we've got Saskatoon seeds going, and then we're really just seeing who's like, who wants to be here and what her growing conditions are. This morning I started before the high sun replanting, and so here's some of our little babies coming up, And we really noticed just a little bit of predation, so that was really exciting. This in the future will just look abundant and beautiful. It's a very exciting project, and beyond just the trial and error of growing corn, we're here to create and establish jobs and something that the Madeline Island community can come together to be really proud of. So our team actually brings dried hominy to market. So through that, we collect wood ash from locals here. Down in the Twin Cities, we actually have a partnership with Northern Fires Pizza. Shout out to you guys for always following up and following through. Our nonprofit is actually based out of the Twin Cities. And so within the Standish neighborhood, they're local and they're doing wood-fired pizza. So the answer is always no unless you ask. So I reached out and they were like, yeah, put a galvanized steel in the back and we'll just keep it going. What we end up doing is bringing those teachings to community, primarily Indigenous communities. So we're working heavily with Bad River, Red Cliff, and other surrounding relatives, and we are teaching wood ash hominy making, which is incredible.
And so tasty.
And so tasty. And you know, that nixtamalization or that nixtamalization is it's different than your lime or lye. Thank you. And I'm excited because it's northern region, right? And so Flint corn, this is like the northernmost area we can actually grow Flint corn. And so there's a lot that we're learning. Kevin must know that I'm talking about him. He's in my pocket.
The harvest from it.
Well, it's a quick maturity, about 75 to 80 days. So the end of September, we will be braiding and then hanging to dry. And then eventually, once all of that corn is dried, then we will be selecting potentially for seed, and then processing corn for community meal. So I'm very grateful for the Madeline Island Community Garden.
You've got a lot of comfrey over there.
Yeah.
So much comfrey.
She's our sweet neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm like dancing around.
Before you go.
Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for checking out our project. I look forward to sharing the abundance, and as we grow and learn and figure out the changing climate. So, miigwech.
Fantastic.
Thanks for
you.
including me.
Ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aspect of this garden, each of these plot owners, they have their varying degrees of knowledge, experience, access to resources. And what I really am loving about this experience is that there's so much sharing. There's sharing of knowledge, experience, and resources. So whether it's, why are you putting cardboard there, you know, to what does the straw do, to there's a cute little plot back there, and her layout is just really unique, and you know, just like asking the questions of why are you doing that. Most gardeners I've found have wonderful stories why they picked the plants they picked, why they're doing what they want to do, and just the opportunity to share that has been really enriching for me, and I can see it go across people's faces when they get to talk about their gardens, because every single garden owner here is here because they love gardening. It's very clear they love gardening
And don't have a place of their own.
right, or they just want to be part of the community too. That's another thing. That's actually why I started. So I bought a plot before I got the job. I really haven't had much time to get to my plot because my plot's right up there with the bed frame. And so what I'm using my plot for is more experimental things. Because you know, on social media, they know I'm a gardener now, so they're constantly serving me up content. And I watched this Texan, and he just said, you know, put a cattle cage. Of course, I don't have cattle cages, but somebody had a free bed frame, so I was like, well, that'll work. At a 45-degree angle from your cucumbers, and then they all grow through, and so you just bend over and you just harvest them from the other side.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And so I thought, yeah, yeah, you got a frame coming too? Yes. So that's becoming more like an experimental plot, which I think is just as fun as you know, growing for the community. So growing for the community feels somewhat more serious, you know, like this food, there's people depending on that food. So there's some it feels more serious, I guess, to make sure that those plots in the hothouse produce. And so it's kind of fun to have both sides, because then you get to loosen up a little bit, because
Yeah, right. It's not as
I think that's like
serious.
if
Yeah.
I think that's a theme amongst a lot of our renters, is not taking it so seriously. Like there is intention, and there is like want to like produce and do the thing, but there's also a little bit like we're all, at the end of the day, we're all just gardeners, and Mother Nature just kind of does whatever she wants to do, and you got to deal with it.
Whatever she wants to do. Yeah.
And there's another community aspect is just maintenance of the shared space. Mowing is a big thing. The grass just keeps growing. we Yeah, you can guarantee it. Yeah, weed whipping. I do a lot of, since I'm here a lot, I'll do a lot of like outreach where I'll say, hey, noticed that your plot is a little dry. And they're like, oh, I'm off island for the next 2 weeks. And I said, you want me to water it for you? And oh, absolutely, thank you. Like that give and take of, so a lot of the renters too, they don't live here full time either. So
they don't.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I watered Kim's plot today. So.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Like you just kind of make friends that way of like, I got your back. I can help you out. I'm here. Or like we had a plot renter there who they bought a bunch of straw. They used it, and then they had like 2 bales left over. And so then they were just like, anybody who needs straw, it's in the lean-to. Go ahead and use the straw.
Very nice.
Yeah. Very sharing, like the cooperation of this space has been really lovely.
Fantastic. And who, like, do you have other donors? Where do some of the other resources?
If you want to speak to that as a board member.
Well, whenever we've had a big project like the greenhouse, we've applied for grants to have enough funding to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And does that come from the state or from, like, where?
I'm not sure where that grant came from. I wasn't involved in that at the time. We have, even some community citizens just donate.
Even with like little things like
Yeah.
we lost our original shade tent to one of the storms, and Facebook is a very wonderful thing. If you put because there are 2 community Facebook pages for the island. There's one island specific, and then there is one community garden specific. So putting anything out there like we need some more shade. We lost our shade tent. 3 people responded right away. Like, yep, I got one. You guys can have it. And then I was able to gift. I made some with the chive tops, the chive flowers, which again, I just learned on one of the social medias. If you take the chive flowers and muddle them up in a little jelly jar and pour apple cider vinegar in, 4 or 5 days later, you have this beautiful hibiscus pink, spicy, peppery salad dressing, basically.
Yeah.
Casey knows, and I got goosebumps just talking about it. Yeah. Do you have a gallon? Yeah. And so I made a little of that, and then we have this cute little rhubarb back there, and I just cut a couple rhubarbs, boiled it down with some maple sugar that I made this spring. I learned how to do that. That was amazing. And just said, this is ice cream topper. And so just gave 2 jars to this person who gave us the shade tent, and it was like a, you just got to keep it going. Here's some gifts from the garden that you're helping out. And yeah. So the community does really step up when we have needs that are like relatively basic. Yeah.
What about like water? Where does your water come from? Even though we're surrounded by
Yeah.
Madeline Island.
Do you want to start with the history?
Well, the history is there's a pond right over here between us and the trailers that was dug to be a water reservoir for the garden, and we've used that ever since the garden started. And then last year, the people who own the land, the barn, and there's a house there, and then there are cattle right over here. And he has to water the cattle during the winter, and he was having to carry water, and he was thinking, gee, if you could give us some help, we'll dig a water line from the house over here, so then we can use it at the garden. And it'll be easier for him to water his cattle in the winter. So that happened. So now we've got more water.
Yeah.
What we do is we pump it into the tanks and then kind of use gravity feed around the
Okay.
garden.
So it's precious.
Yeah.
It is precious.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
And it's having that well is really the stories that I hear from the other gardeners who have been here for a couple of years or more. It's a wonderful resource to be able to have that well. There are challenges when you have a pond, whether it dries up or your pump gets clogged or your pump breaks. You know, all of the challenges that come with hauling water. You're just really, really grateful for. I mean, even Casey over here, just being able to water her garden with a hose that's fed from one of those water tanks is awesome. Gravity instead of having to haul, you know, the water containers. Yeah. Which some do.
We do
We have
some of
another
that.
water tank over here for the I call this the South 40 for the South 40 plots, and you know, it makes do. It's not. I like to try to think about the different abilities of everyone in this garden, whether it's our elders or maybe it's like, you know, you sprained your arm, you just can't do it, or you not great with uneven surfaces, or you're just not strong enough and stuff. So constantly trying to, how can we make things a little bit easier so that it's accessible, because the reality of it is we're all just getting older.
We are.
We're all just getting older.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you know, and so there are challenges, and if we can extend somebody's ability to garden, that just feels really good. It just feels like medicine. Feels like medicine.
It is.
It is medicine.
Putting your hands into the soil.
Yep.
I mean, some people know about grounding and walking in their bare feet. Well, you're doing the same thing with your hands in the soil. So.
I'm currently writing a book. It's called Good Dirt. It really is about
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good dirt. Yeah.
I'd like to say one more thing about community effort with our pond. When it would dry out or we just used up all the water or whatever, our volunteer fire department would bring their tanker trucks and fill it up for us. So it is a community effort.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's one of the special things about the island too, is that it really is a tight community. I mean, you on the mainland, if you're on a border between one town and another town, you've got two towns, you know.
Right.
But you just don't have that here. It's either we help each other out or go in the lake or take the ferry, which is very expensive. So yeah, like the way this community comes together in the many, many ways, not just this garden, is exceptional and unique. Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for the work that you do, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for growing with us, and we will see you next time. And in the meantime, be sure to like, comment, let us know what really resonated for you in this video, and then of course be sure to subscribe at no cost to you and be updated when we have new videos up to play.